Experience Africa's heartbeat.
The African Pulse.
A weekly broadcast that takes you across Africa.
Different topics.
Culture.
Tech. Health.
Economy.
And even politics.
The African Pulse.
Only on Ifrikya FM.
Hello and welcome to the African Pulse, your weekly dive into stories shaping Africa's heartbeat. I'm your host Emmanuel and you're tuned into episode 2 of our 5-part special leading to the Intra-African Trade Fair 2025. This is where trade becomes transformation, one conversation at a time. Until then. Last time we explored the roads and borders that connect or divide us, but today we're going to focus on what actually trading is and who's doing the trading. Two key players come into focus: Africa's manufacturing industries and the millions of small and medium-sized enterprises that keep our economies alive. We can't help but ask these two questions. Can they scale up and trade across borders? Can they power the African continental free trade dream? To unpack this, I'm joined by two insightful guests. First, from Ghana, Nana Kwamina, Ifrikya FM's brilliant journalist who's researching Africa's economic development with a keen eye on trade, growth and innovation. Welcome again, Divir.
It's always nice to be on this show.
Always nice to have
Can't
you.
get rid of me.
Like I said, it's always a pleasure to have you. And second, from Algeria, Idir Sassi, an economic expert focused on regional and continental trade integration. Welcome again with us.
Thank you for the invitation. Every time is a pleasure.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you with us and to have a special expert who's actually keen on the African trade and African economy. So, starting right with our first segment of the day, Made in Africa, Manufacturing and Industrialization. We began with manufacturing, a sector many see or say is a key to making intra-African trade meaningful. After all, it's one thing to trade raw materials, but quite another to trade finished African-made products. So the question we ask here: where does African manufacturing stand today, especially when it comes to producing for African markets rather than exporting abroad?
We are in very interesting period because we start the integration. Because when we talk about integration, the authorities, they can make effort because they will collaborate with certain agencies, or even the politics, they will do some efforts according to the need of the population. But the cooperation, the regional, sub-regional cooperation with other states can help a lot. Because the experience, we have the same population, same climates mainly, implement the same solution, which they were successful in another region, is something can help a lot to gain a time. And what does mean the integration is also by the administrative integration, which means customs, for example, because when you start doing trade, you have to make some harmonization on the processes, reduce time, cost, and security for goods and people, which means kind of harmonization, sub-regional harmonization can help a lot for the integration, and apply solutions. If we have a problem of water in South Algeria, for example, same solution that is successful actually for Algeria, because we are doing agriculture in the desert environment, can be applied in the same area, which is south countries of Algeria, like Niger or Mali and others.
Okay, for the Sahel region, for example.
Exactly. This phase, which is the political effort to make more harmonization in processes and to apply solutions that are successful on certain region, we are on this step, which is very important. Okay.
Yes.
We can talk after about the challenges and how can the local population will benefit on this the new dynamic.
Yes, yes. But, from your respective region, what kind of support, or whether digital or financial or even policy-based, are helping the SMEs expand beyond their borders?
There are mechanisms, depends on region. We can talk, for example, Ivory Coast is a country of agriculture. They are exporting. It's a state politic to export a certain product, which is agriculture, but some SMEs are working on that sector. I think the very small SMEs, we are on the starting. Okay, what is the most important thing that can be done for those population is the mechanism of financing. Okay, because we have to help them to access for the finance, because there is the African Bank, for example. There are tools that are offering those possibilities, but the access to the finance to those platforms, which are continental platforms or international platforms, is hard for someone which is an SMEs. We have to help them, maybe by working or by giving accreditation for local funds, and adopt a possibility for local funds to work with the African Bank or those international platforms. They can help this issue of access. This is the first issue that I can see, and I think that there is efforts on that side. The other one is PPPs. A public-private partnership is very important, because the state administration, they have a power, they have policies, they can take the risk because they are powerful, and they if they will admit those middle and small companies on certain projects, even agriculture or environment, etc., it can make more possibilities for integration and access to markets, to finance, etc. Because if we talk about PPPs, we will talk about the certain instruments which are a finance instrument, where they can help and give a trust to give markets to those SMEs. And this is how Chinese or other nationalities are working. They are given guarantees to their companies to come to Africa or going somewhere, because behind them there is a state guarantee.
And do you see this method that would be working for, I'm talking about the northern African region, do you see this method would be functional and successful?
Yes, of course. If we can, the Algerian experience on building roads, for example, is something very good, because from 70s, 80s, and even now, we are building roads on desert, etc. We have certain companies that they can, deal with big challenge. If Mauritania needs roads, it's something that certain companies from Algeria can take in force on those markets. Take a charge. If the administration will come behind those companies and give them a certain instruments, which is finance instruments. I'm pragmatic. I'm talking about money. Okay, I'm sorry.
This is what the talk should be about.
It's not just a moral.
It's not a moral obligation.
Exactly.
It's finance.
It's finance. Give them guarantees and possibilities, and they will fight, and they will take markets and possibilities on the sub-regional or even regional area.
That's interesting. Do you think the same for the west of Africa?
I mean, he's absolutely right. We have a huge example in Dangote.
The Dangote refinery.
From humble beginnings, having close ties with the government. They implemented a policy to stop importing raw materials for cement. They started producing cement, Dangote cement, and that eventually led to other industries. You back the individual, and then there's money. When the money is gained, now there's branch into other industries. Now he's gone through a process where he now has the biggest sugar refinery in Africa. He has the biggest cement company in Africa, and now he has an oil refinery. How do we build from there? It's the PPP our guest has mentioned here, and that's, I feel like it's money, and then
so we're talking money flow here.
Yes.
Okay, this is all interesting, but we'll have to stop right here for our first segment, even though the conversation is indeed interesting. So we'll come back right after this short music break with the second segment and more interesting talks and insights to share.
day, yeah. Try what I do if you're not the fair. My mind they tell me to disappear, So come and help me, cause I don't pray, my man, I don't pray, come on man, I can't stay for one place, for God's sake, my day. Don't take my pharaoh from you. They are talking shit, what them no better than me. See you for what's in it. I put on my eyes, then shut my eyes, just good. I cry, I'm sure, got my dread love. Believe me, I don't pray, Mohammed, I don't pray. Come on, man, I can't stay for one place, for God's sake, my baby. Come and ginger me, only you can feel my best. Give me vitamins, we're gonna take these pains away. So
Welcome back to the second segment of today's show, and this segment is titled The SMEs on the Move, Small Giants in the Big Market. So let's zoom into the backbone of Africa's economies a bit, the small and medium-sized businesses. We all know that they make up over, let's say, 80% of employment across the continent, but yet they often face the hardest path to cross-border trade. So how are African SMEs participating in intra-African trade today, and what structural, practical obstacles stand in their way that we can highlight on this show?
Yeah, I was saying, I think a few years ago, African Union, doing a great job on the vision, which is how to integrate more and more our economies and give the visibility to investors. Because sometimes saying we have I'm not saying we will lose our principles, etc. But because isolating ourselves is not a solution.
Definitely not.
Every time I'm talking to people saying, be careful, we have to deal with what the world is offering. We have to integrate more our economy on those platforms. We have to give visibility to the investors, to the world. And African Union, they work on this risk agency, which is very good, because there are Africans, they have money and they are investing abroad Africa. And sometimes the foreign agencies, they are given risk which are not real, because they every time they can add certain considerations which are not reflecting the reality. The investors, they need real feedback, which is good having this agency for now, integrating more and more. How? The possibilities of investing money in Africa, they are huge. We have African Bank, we have other instruments, even the Islamic Bank and others. But I think between those instruments and the ground, there is a gap. There is a gap. I think there are some experience which are good. Small African funds, they are doing good job in Africa. But I think we should authorize intermediates, local intermediates, and the African Bank should accept those intermediates that can facilitate this relation between the small and the big
and reduce the gap.
To let them to be more impactful and direct impact on the investment. This barrier, I'm talking about money now. The next, there are policies. The integration the policies should be more harmonization. There is a ZLECAf, there are other instruments.
The FCFTA.
More we are doing, more we can facilitate the trade between the population, because sometimes on the borders, they are same population. Even for Algeria, for example. The policies harmonization is very important. And the impact of SMEs, the experience, if we can look on the certain countries in Europe, like Italy, for example, the SMEs is a huge potential to grow. But the SMEs, they need an environment,
an ecosystem,
to work with them. In Algeria, we need to build cars. This is good, but we have to first allow SMEs to be in this business. Facilities, we come back talking about the access to the money, to the finance.
I feel like the biggest barrier between SMEs from different countries is access to markets. You know, but that barrier, I think, is infrastructure. We spoke on transport the last episode.
Yeah, we talked about roads and such.
And we already said the African Development Bank just stated that we are at 10 to 15% capacity. How many of good transportation? How many countries have good railroads? How many countries have good roads?
A full-on infrastructure that needs to be built. Yeah.
Because we need to find a better way of transporting goods between African countries. It's already expensive. Already moving from one country as an individual to another. So now, as an SME, your biggest problem is finding your niche, your market, and you are hoping to find your markets in other countries. What is the access? We're talking about customs. We're talking about high documentation burdens. We're talking about slow clearances. We're talking about multiple checkpoints. He made mention of having an integrated system, which in itself speaks volumes to what the solution should be. But I understand that it's slow because as much as we are all within one continent, I feel like we're different people and policies vary from one country to another. But these are the main problems: the transport and logistics, infrastructure, tariffs. What should a standard tariff should be given? Europe has a non-tariff policies between European countries. But I don't think can that be the standard for Africa. It can't be. Things need to be designed according to what African can put up with. You know, then there's finance. You know, he says it. That's
finance.
Magnum opus. There's finance. Yes, those are the barriers. And until we standardize and love these things, like we don't have to talk about anything else, but let's talk about at least standardizing what's the clearance or tariffs or. You know, every country has an FDA, right? Yeah. So we need to have what a standard for what is allowed.
So we're talking about regulation and policies to facilitate it.
Yes. But that's a can of worms, you know. That's why we're asking for like primary standard. Europe has a primary standard for food, for consumables.
Okay.
You can't have this also chemicals, and then there's varieties according to different countries. I think a standard.
So we need to set, for example, like you said, the agriculture. Let's talk about the agri-goods. You're saying that African countries should come up with a standards charter for the good quality products.
At least just like an intersection between multiple countries. We're not asking you to cover all the 54 countries. All we're just asking is a standard that covers the most. So at least you know that within this market,
this is allowed and this is not allowed.
This is not allowed. At least now your SMEs have a ground to stand on to actually push a product. And then when you foster competition, you foster innovation. It goes hand in hand.
It does. But now let's talk from your respective regions. What kinds of support, whether financial or whatever, could help the SMEs expand even wider across borders?
I saw a few hours ago, Algeria signed an agreement which allow the PSPs, the companies for payment, to pay in Africa with local currency.
Serious?
Yes, which means it will open a great opportunity for SMEs, because it means I'm the SME in Algeria or the other one in the Ghana, for example. He can send me goods and they will send him without any barrier. I can pay him.
This could
which is very
facilitate
good
things.
for the intercontinental.
Now, this is what we see.
Yes.
This is a standard. Now,
Yeah.
that is a standard. You know,
We bring a smile in the face of the doctor.
Truly.
They can sense it from his voice.
Truly, no, that's amazing. That's amazing because you know, in all the barriers we talked about, money has been
The biggest issue.
The biggest issue, whether it's funding or whether it's payment of goods. You know, but once you make that a thing, you know, a platform that accepts currency.
Could be set an example.
Yes.
That will
It will open a lot of possibilities for especially the SMEs, because PSPs are working. What is the great benefit of the PSP? Because PSP is close to people, and for the banking integration and the culture of finance, etc., they can bring a very good results and the culture of the how to use money, etc. Which means PSPs being close to people, they will close to those possibilities with the SMEs.
Yeah.
From all the African countries. Hopefully they will make it quickly, because the authorizations to create those PSPs in Algeria are ongoing now.
Yeah.
I was advocating for the simplification for bureaucracy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the end of this year we will see some good results.
News. Yeah, let's stay hopeful with this. And this is good news for the SMEs in Africa who definitely want to, you know, like get in trade or intra-trade with Algeria. So this is your chance. And what do you have more to say, Nana?
I mean, I think you know. The questions have been so in depth that most of the answers have been intertwined with this question now.
Yeah.
And we've spoken on a lot of things. But one thing I will say is concerning my country, the previous government, they had this policy they introduced that was called one district, one factory, one D, one F. And on paper, it was a very, very good idea. You know, it got investors talking. It got
since you
people
said
into
on
the
paper,
pool.
it means
You have to understand. You know, every I'm sure as into Algeria, you know, every region and what they locally produce, right? So we've got cocoa, you've got you've got cassava in one region, you've got plantains
Cashew
in another,
as well.
cashew. So the problem most of us in Africa we face with what we've been facing for so many years is primary goods. We export more primary goods, and then we import tertiary or secondary goods. We do not add value to anything we produce. And in a sense, the aim of the one district, one factory was localization. So a region and what the majority they produce, a factory to process those goods. You know, identify a primary good, establish a factory, turn it into something of value. But so far, only 2 factories have been built. We have 16 regions.
oh,
And that in itself,
so that's a long way to go.
Yeah, and my gripe is you think we target our biggest export, which is cocoa. But we don't have a processing plant. We don't have a processing plant for cocoa. We've not had since 6 decades of the Republic. We still don't have a processing plant. We've gone where the days where we used to dictate prices. We in Côte d'Ivoire back in the day we used to be a conglomerate. We used to dictate the price of cocoa in the world. But you know, politics, international influence, and all that. But I just want to say this: the production or transformation into tertiary goods should not be directly tied to one country, especially if we as Africans are moving towards a unified economy.
Yes, with the Inter-African Free Trade Area.
And I say that to say, my friend just allowed me on this tangent. So he thought of a better idea. You know, Algeria is known for its infrastructure, right? So he thought, Algeria imports a lot of cocoa. You know, Algeria has a robust food industry. You produce your own chocolates, you produce your own chocolate drinks, your candias, and your whatnot. So, but he found it fascinating that Algeria mainly exports its processed cocoa from Europe, not from within Africa itself.
Exactly.
So why not a country with infrastructure already established and with a history of building industries? Why not build a processing factory within Algeria and tie the lines through here? So now the profit sharing goes 3 ways. you got Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, and then by our neighbors who in themselves produce cocoa like Togo and the rest, funnel through. Because we are looking at a country that is ripe to diversify their economy, and they have a foundation to stand on, and then we funnel the cocoa through, and then we share the profits.
I 100% agree.
And it was a good idea, and I was so in love with that because
if it's the source from Africa and all the whole process is African, it would be a good thing to
it would
share.
be a good thing.
One important thing, I'm personally still advocating that when Algeria says that I have to help Africans. Every time I advocate, let's help by investing. I mean, you are talking about cocoa, but we can talk about cement. Because there is a great need for cement. I know the Congo, for example, they have big need. They are even importing from Algeria, but the facilities, which is the port, is important. Why not Algeria invest in this infrastructure, allowing this country to buy? Why we cannot build a factory? Because
this is actually
for
China's
all the
strategy.
region, when we said giving money, it's sometimes good. Okay, why not? But let's work together. Why Algeria? I mean, think as an investor, a partnership. Why we cannot build some factories somewhere in Africa and having some integration more than now.
That understanding needs to be had because when you look across Europe, your biggest car manufacturer is Germany. You have France, your Peugeots and the rest. But you think that every country would have like their own factory, but that's never the case. Even the biggest train manufacturer is not within. It's not within England. It's not within France. I think I forgot the country, but I would assume it's also German. But you see, infrastructure is shared.
Last week, Indians bought Iveco from Italy. And maybe now 80% of the car brands in Europe, they are ownership are foreigners from India, China, and others.
Tata is Indian. They own Land Rover.
Exactly.
It's smart investment. This is a smart investment that the African countries should start to wake up and go for that.
I think everyone talks about sovereignty, but you also need to talk about the continent you are within and grasp that. For development to happen, you need to tap into the advantage someone already has, and then to cover up for your disadvantages. Because not the problem is each and every country is not efficient. Like let's not lie to ourselves here. Each and every country is we are lacking. Each country is lacking in certain aspects.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's why we need to target what which of us needs. You have countries that have high infrastructure. They already have an industrial local economy going on. You have countries that have access to fertile land, and they produce something you don't have in yours.
Exactly.
Collaboration goes a long way in establishing what the African trade area should be.
Anything you'd like to say before we conclude, Mr. Sassi?
About it, I think what Algeria is doing in terms of communication, and of course, Algeria is bringing some efforts for our own economy, because our partners they should maybe know by communication. Because I'm optimistic for the next event coming in Algeria about the African trade. I need to see there the people who are on the ground. Not the politicals, only the politicals. I need to see the companies, the investors.
Yes,
and maybe they don't have the correct feedback. I need to let them that the Algeria was doing some regulation because of close past, and they have to make certain compliance policies, etc. But I mean, coming period, I think this effort will be an example how we can fix production in your country, how you can develop agriculture, etc. Knowing that we are close to Europe, there are big opportunities in Algeria. Hopefully, I will see the people on the ground in this event next time.
Hopefully, and before we conclude, you'd like to say anything else?
I'm just saying, like he's right. I think everyone listening should make an opportunity to come to the African trade. The event that's happening this September, because I've identified an opportunity within Algeria I'd like to capitalize on. And I just like the savoir-faire, the savoir-être, and I'm hoping you find more on the ground, like he said. Not politics, just the people themselves.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. And the Intra-African Trade Fair is, well, mark your schedules, dear listeners. It's going to be from the 4th to the 10th of September, so stay tuned because we're definitely going to cover that event. But for today's episode, here's the conclusion that we can come up with. What's emerging in the African trade is not just about the trade routes, but trade routes, if you know what I mean. And manufacturing lays the foundation, adding value and keeping wealth within the continent. But it's the SMEs that bring the energy, adaptability, and the grassroots innovation. It's given the right tools, credit platforms, and regional support, they can become not just survivors, but champions for the intra-African trade. So lawmakers, give them the chance. You've been listening to the African Pulse, where we journey through the story of African trade. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to our guests for sharing your insightful information with us. Thank you for being our guest today. And this was episode 2. In our next episode, we'll look at the money behind the movement, trade, finance, and African currencies. Same time, same place. Until then, stay grounded and stay growing and keep the pulse alive. This is Emmanuel tuning out.
Advancing, I've laid down my burden. Can't seem to silence the voices. Continue setting, I be that person. We go be your shoulder body, best in anything. Your type no many, they are not ready. I go give you 100%, never no 90. More than amazing, well quality. You are deserving of the love you are not getting. Independently, I'll take the liberty, and I go love you specially. Oh, for the love. Or the care, then they fake out. Don't be hard, baby, give it, I gon' love you. All the love, all the care, then they fake out. Don't be hard, baby, give it, I gon' love you. Them gon' wanna know why you so colorful, them gon' wanna know. Because the melodies for my chest, cannot get the hold of myself. You the same way. I've been low, the money no fit in me. You be cold, we dancing no side baby. Many tales to tell. Continue setting, I be that person. We gon' be your shoulder body, best in anything. Your type no many, they are not ready. I go give you 100%, never no 90. More than amazing, well quality. You are deserving of the love you are not getting. Independently, I'll take the liberty, and I go love you specially. Oh, all the love, all the care, then they fake out. Don't be hard, baby, give it, I go love you. All the love, all the care, then they fake out. Don't be hard, baby, give it, I go love you. Oh, until me setting, I'll be that person. We gon' be your shoulder, body, best in anything. No type, no many, we are not ready. I gon' give you 100%, never no 90. More than amazing, girl quality. You are deserving of the love you are not getting. Independently, I'll take the liberty, and I gon' love you specially. Oh, all the love, all the care, them they fake out. Don't be hard, baby, give it, I gon' love you. All the love, all the care, then they fake out. Don't be hard, baby, give in.